Ever look inside an antique radio and wonder what all those parts actually do? Tubes, transformers, capacitors, resistors, they each play a big role in bringing the music and voices back to life. In this video, we'll break it all down in simple terms so you'll know exactly what you're looking at the next time you peek under the chassis. Hi everyone, I'm Jim Hounshell and welcome to the Old Radio Revival. Today we're going to look inside an antique radio and talk about its anatomy, the essential parts that make it work. We'll see how each piece has a role to play and how together they bring life to something that on its own would just sit silent. You know, that reminds me of the way the Bible talks about the body of Christ, which is the church. In 1 Corinthians 12:12 it says, "Just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ." Every part of the radio is important. The tubes amplify the signal, the capacitors and resistors shape and guide it, and the speaker gives it a voice. If even one of those parts is missing or broken, the radio doesn't work the way it should. In the same way, when we become members of God's body, the church, He gives each of us a role. Some are encouragers, some are teachers, some serve quietly behind the scenes. None of us are useless, and none of us are meant to work alone. Just like a radio needs all its parts to bring in the music, the church needs every member working together to reflect the love of Christ to the world. But here's the thing. When we pull the back off an old radio, we usually don't find every part working perfectly. Some components are weak, worn out, or completely dead. But a radio like that doesn't need to be thrown away. It needs to be restored. And that's true of us too. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." Every one of us has parts of our lives that are broken by sin. On our own, we can't bring in God's signal clearly. But here's the good news. Just like a skilled restorer can replace a bad capacitor and bring a radio back to life, God can restore us. Through Jesus, He forgives our sins, gives us a new heart, and makes us a part of His working body. So as we open up this radio and take a look at its essential parts, let it remind you that you are essential too. God designed you with a purpose, and when you're connected to Him and to His people, you help bring the message of hope loud and clear to a world that needs it. All right. Let's take a closer look inside and see what makes an antique radio come to life. Let's start with what many would say is the most iconic component you'll find in an old radio, the vacuum tube. You'll see these glowing glass bottles, often with a faint orange or blue light inside, especially in older radios. The tube's main job is to take a very weak radio signal, the tiny whispers of music or voices floating through the air, and make it much stronger or amplify it so that you can actually hear it through the speaker. Different tubes do different jobs. Some amplify the signal, others convert frequencies, and some rectify power. And they come in all shapes and sizes. Next up, we have transformers. These are those often blocky, heavy components, usually encased in metal, that look like little bricks. Their job is pretty simple, but absolutely vital. They change the voltage of electricity. The electricity coming from your wall socket is usually too high or too low for different parts of the radio. A transformer steps up or steps down that voltage to precisely what each section of the radio needs to operate safely and effectively. You'll usually find a big power transformer near where the power cord connects, and sometimes smaller audio transformers that deal with the sound signals. Now let's talk about capacitors. These are very common and come in a huge variety of shapes, sizes, and colors. You'll see little tubes, discs, or even larger cans. A capacitor's job is to store a small amount of electrical energy, kind of like a small quick-release battery. They can then release that energy very quickly. In a radio, they do many things. They can smooth out the power, block certain types of electrical signals while letting others pass. and they are absolutely crucial for tuning into different stations. Speaking of tuning, that brings us to the tuning capacitor. This is a special type of capacitor that you'll interact with every time you change the station. It's usually a metal box with a series of interlocking, rotatable metal plates. As you turn the tuning knob on your radio, these plates move closer or further apart, which changes the amount of electrical energy it can store. This change allows the radio to tune in or resonate with different radio frequencies, letting you pick the specific station. It's the core of how you select your favorite broadcasts. Then we have resistors. These are typically small components with colorful bands on them. Those bands actually tell you their value. A resistor's job is to resist or limit the flow of electrical current. Think of it like a narrow pipe in a water system. It restricts the amount of water that can flow through it. In a radio, resistors are essentially for setting the correct voltage and current levels for all the other sensitive components, ensuring they don't get too much power and burn out. For more details on resistors, see my video entitled Understanding Resistors in Vintage Radios. Closely related to resistors are variable resistors. As the name suggests, their resistance can be changed. One common type you'll encounter is called a potentiometer, or often just pot. This is usually the component connected to your radio's volume knob, or sometimes its tone control. As you turn the knob, you're physically changing the resistance, which in turn controls the amount of electrical signal, making the sound louder or softer, or adjusting the bass and treble. It's a resistor you can directly interact with. Next, let's talk about the antenna. While sometimes external, the antenna is fundamentally part of the radio system. It's usually just a long piece of wire, sometimes hidden inside the cabinet or connected to an external terminal. Its job is to capture those invisible radio waves floating through the air and convert them into tiny electrical signals that the radio can then process. Without an antenna, your radio is deaf. Similar to the antenna are coils, also known as inductors. These are simply wires wrapped around a core, sometimes air, sometimes a ferrite rod. You'll see them in various sizes and shapes, from small spools of wire to larger, more complex assemblies. Coils also store energy, but in a magnetic field rather than an electrical field like a capacitor. In radios, coils are incredibly important for tuning circuits, filtering out unwanted signals, and helping with amplification. They work closely with capacitors to allow the radio to select specific frequencies. And finally, once all those tiny signals have been amplified and processed, they need to be heard. That's where the speaker comes in. Usually a large round component, often covered by fabric or a grill, the speaker is the radio's voice. It takes the amplified electrical audio signals and converts it back into physical sound waves that travel through the air to your ears. It does this using a magnet and a voice coil connected to a paper cone, which vibrates to produce the sound. Now, connecting all these parts together are the wires. While they might seem mundane, wires are the roads or highways that electrical currents travel on, carrying signals and power from one component to another. In antique radios, you'll see various types, often covered in cloth insulation. Good, clean connections are absolutely vital for the radio to work correctly. And that covers most of the major players. Of course, there are smaller components like terminal strips, tube sockets, and switches. But the ones we've discussed today, the tubes, transformers, capacitors, resistors, coils, antenna, speaker, and wiring, they are the fundamental building blocks that make an antique radio tick. Understanding what each of these parts does is the first crucial step towards truly appreciating these magnificent machines and even embarking on your own restoration journey. Now that we've met all the individual players, let's bring them all together and follow a radio's signal journey from the outside world all the way to your ears. It all starts with the antenna. Radio waves are invisible to our eyes, but they are constantly traveling through the air. The antenna's job is to catch those invisible waves and turn them into tiny electrical currents. The antenna is the radio's ear, listening for all the broadcast stations out there. That electrical current is a jumble of every single station at once. So the first thing it does is go to the tuning capacitor in the coils. When you turn the tuning knob, you're adjusting this current, telling the radio, I only want to listen to this one specific frequency and ignore all the rest. The tuning circuit effectively acts like a filter, isolating just the station you want to hear. That chosen signal is still incredibly weak. It's barely a whisper of electricity. So it immediately goes to the first set of tubes, which are acting as amplifiers. These tubes take that tiny whisper of a signal and make it much, much louder. From there, the signal goes to a very important section of the radio called the detector. This is where the magic happens. The radio signal is actually two things combined: the carrier wave, which is the constant radio frequency, and the audio signal, which is the actual music or voice riding on top of it. The detector's job is to separate the two. It strips away the carrier wave, leaving just the audio signal behind. That audio signal is still too weak to power the speaker, so it's sent through one or more sets of amplifier tubes. These tubes take the audio signal and give it a final massive boost, turning it into a powerful electrical current. The volume potentiometer is what controls how much of that current is allowed to pass, letting you make the music loud or quiet. Finally, that strong amplified audio signal is sent to the speaker. The speaker takes that powerful electrical current and uses it to vibrate a paper cone back and forth, turning the electrical current into physical sound waves that travel to your ears. So you see, the journey is a beautiful chain of events. A radio wave is caught by the antenna, selected by the tuning circuit, amplified by the tubes, stripped of its carrier by the detector, given a final power boost by more tubes, and then finally converted into sound by the speaker. And that's how this amazing machine brings music and history back to life. Now, with a better understanding of the parts inside, you're one step closer to appreciating the magic of antique radio restoration. When you look inside an antique radio now, I hope you see not a jumble of wires, but a masterpiece of engineering just waiting to be brought back to life. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Old Radio Revival so that you don't miss our next project. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.